The next wave of digital transformation requires a new kind of cloud experience, one that lets you harness all of your data wherever it resides. Get more insights from edge to cloud, and shift from gathering information to acting on intelligence. With HPE vLink Cloud Services, you can bring everything in sight. Welcome to the age of insight.
It's hard to believe that Mint Mobile can be good if it's just $15 a month. So, as Mint's new owner, I brought in one of our first and oldest customers, Wasim McNady. Welcome to Mint, Ryan. So you had Mint for years.
Yo.
No, the service is
I'm sitting there playing Batman, Arkham, trying to...
Still $15 a month, right? Yep. What about Taco Wednesday?
You just came out of nowhere. Dude just came out of nowhere on me, man. Today's been an okay day. Basically, just got a little bit of work done. I go to the office tomorrow, so have some fun with that. So I might IRL in the office. Have my little suit on and everything.
Protesters outed and demonstrating in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. CNN has just obtained video of the immediate aftermath of the police shooting and killing of Andrew Brown Jr. It was taken by a neighbor pretty far away. We are just playing it here for the first time.
Not better. How am I here? It's the bell. Yeah.
Apparently, there seems to be a car that Mr. Brown was in, according to family members who was in the vehicle with his hands on the wheel, according to family attorney and family members who watched some 20 seconds of the body camera video. One body camera video. There were multiple officers there with multiple videos and body cams. We have not obviously seen those. A short time before we got this video, in a brief and essentially, content-free press appearance, past Powhatan County Sheriff Tommy Wooten said this about the incident, and I'm quoting now: "We previously committed to transparency and accountability. Today we're continuing to follow through with those two important goals." Well, tonight we are still waiting for that, or for anything resembling that to come to pass. Joining us now is Kirk Rivers, a leader in the local community who's marching with protesters tonight. Kirk, you spoke to CNN's Brian Todd last Thursday. You asked for transparency from elected officials. It's been 4 days since then. What do you make of how officials are handling this?
From the day that this has started, the officials have done a poor job of being transparent to let you know what's going on. And we keep demanding answers. We'll keep trying to find out what's going on. The family's getting bits and pieces, getting 20 seconds of a video, but not even still giving the...
Sad they only got 20 seconds.
Letting us know what's going on.
A number of the attorneys for the family today said that the county attorney, Michael Cox, tried to prevent several of them from viewing the video in the first place, and said that he wasn't going to be effing bullied by them. I'm wondering what you make of how authorities are dealing with the community and family members.
Well, the way that that's taking place is that's how Elizabeth City, certain people in Elizabeth City have treated certain people. And that is unacceptable when you have the family in there that want to see what took place about their loved one. And then you're going to tell the county attorney, going to tell people and tell the attorneys that they invited, and they were there to represent them, and they're not going to be bullied. That was totally unacceptable. That was totally not trying to be able to de-escalate the situation and be controlled. And so from day one, they have not been doing a job that was pleasing. There's been this chaos, not getting information out, and then talking to attorneys that way, when everyone's there to solve and to get justice for the family, to make the family be there to see their what took place through the video, and the attorney's going to talk to them like that. That is totally unacceptable, and we plan on going to the county commissioners meeting to let them know that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable when we're trying to
blackout.
And they're grieving not to escalate the situation.
What impact do you think the protests have had over the last 4 or 5 days?
Well, we received no answers. We have taken them to the street. They're continuing to put no people come out and see children here. Roll up all types of people, black, white. We have taken them to the street to let the elected officials know, from the sheriff to the DA to the county attorney to everyone, that we're going to protest until we get answers, until they release this tape, until they continue to make sure that they spread all of the truth, and that they continue to Andrew Brown Jr. gets justice. So this is the fifth fight that we've been out here. We've done 2-day marches, and we're going to continue to march at 5 o'clock until we get justice for Andrew Brown, and until the truth comes out. We're going to continue to demand, continue to walk the streets. We're walking through residential neighborhoods. We're walking through the business streets. And we're going to continue to protest until we get answers.
Rivers, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
My name is Nancy, and legal analyst and former Deputy Assistant Attorney General Elliot Williams, also in Cave, contributor and former FBI Deputy Director. I'm wondering what your reaction is to how authorities are handling this. Is this normal? How do you
Bitch.
Unfathomable, Anderson. It's the first rule of any crisis management. You have to get out in front of bad news. One of the reasons to do that is to be able to take the position and send a message to your community that you stand on the side of accountability, transparency, and the rule of law. The danger to not doing that we've seen in this situation is you send the exact opposite message. They appear to be, we don't know if this is the case, but it certainly appears if there is just the absolute worst thing that this police agency could do at this time. And that's why those people are on the streets.
Elliot, you said law enforcement is trying to have it both ways with the release of, 20 seconds of one body cam
You don't got the
imaging. How so?
Right, well, look, what they're trying to do is, number one, say that they can't release more information because it might taint the investigation, but releasing all of this information about them. Here's what we know, or at least based on various sources that have been reported. Number one, they were there executing a drug warrant. I saw reporting out of North Carolina about crystal meth and all kinds of prior convictions he has and so on. Clearly, they're managing to get information out there about Andrew Brown, which can also keep the investigation, right? Because that's prejudicial information right there, but not the video footage that might clarify some of all of this. So it is trying to have it both ways. Say, no, we can't put information out there, but here's a lot of bad stuff about this really bad guy. And that's sort of the way law enforcement has been allowed to work for a very long time. And this is exactly Andrew's point from a minute ago. It's about communications and who controls the early narrative. And for decades, law enforcement could get out and just control the narrative earlier on. And this year, or maybe the last few years, that just doesn't work anymore. And I think we're seeing a big shift in what the public demands and expects when there are crises.
Andrew, reporters are always, supposed to be skeptical about things, but in general, public, when police have come forward and said this is what occurred, traditionally people have taken that for what it's worth, believed, or at least had an instinctive belief in that. When you see what happened in the wake of George Floyd and the first release put out by the Minneapolis police, which now, when you look at it,
it is just completely not what actually occurred, it certainly makes one all the more skeptical. I don't understand why the police would not, at the very least, come forward and say this person was armed, this person was not armed, this was, all we know is attempted to execute a felony drug warrant. And again, that's information which paints the subject in a, obviously very particular light.
That's exactly right. And so, because of situations like George Floyd and many other really hard to watch situations of use of lethal force and arrest of predominantly black men, this police are working from a deficit of trust. So you're already kind of one or two steps behind, lower than zero, right? And in addition to that, because of the use of body cameras, we have the opportunity to know, or at least have one pretty good view into what actually happened. So it's this combination of a lack of trust with the possibility of actually seeing what took place at the time. That is driving the public's expectation for accurate, fully transparent, forthcoming information right away. And that's not something law enforcement is going to be able to put down. The days of saying, we're not going to talk about this until all of our investigation is finished, however long that takes, are over. We don't live in that time anymore. Police agencies would be well served to understand the environment that they're operating in and start playing by the rules.
Why did the footage the family saw, 20 seconds, need to be, in the words of the police, redacted? Does that make sense to you?
I mean, it does to some extent. Again, if there were innocent bystanders, there are minors, if there are people perhaps under investigation at the time, but it's just perplexing. And look, here's the problem: this is not. We're not even talking about the law now. This is just straight up PR. If they were able to release the 20 seconds, and they clearly had the rest of the footage, it was very much in their interest to release the rest of the video to the public, because what they did, if you saw that press conference today, those lawyers put on a clinic for how to take back the story. The police, the sheriff's department just basically failed there. And so now, by creating a vacuum as to what else is in the rest of that footage, they really
failed this.
And just left more questions.
Williams, I appreciate it. Thank you. Still County Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney, in a new interview, spells out what Republicans need to admit in order to win back power in Washington.
Tonight, I'll be eating a calzone from Dobos in Aurora. Rock on. Tonight, I'll be eating lobster thermidor from Bretagne.
Really? Yeah. And monkeys might fly out of my butt. Make it 2 calzones.
Experience matters. For over 145 years, more families trust ADT for timeless protection and 24/7 peace of mind. ADT, real protection.
Sustainable luxury at up to 90%.
Why couldn't they do that the whole time?
Mel's, Gucci, Celine, Cartier, Tiffany, and hundreds more. Shop, design, repeat. Get 20% off select items with code LEO.
Hi guys, what'd you do? Tell me how you did it. Get a little closer. That's insane.
That's it.
That's so much. And before that's after.
This Batman game. Had this game for like 3 years. Still ain't beat it. Unite. Turn on some something else. Eat that other burger I got. The Boondocks.
Hold on. That's right.
That is true.
Sonic Bacon Dairy Cheeseburger. That's like
Big ass book.
It's never this simple with him.
Whatever. I'm gonna go eat that burger now.